You know, if we look out, we are incredibly, incredibly fortunate people to be in this industry. And the reason is because we have an opportunity that's created by no hype, the largest technology platform in the history of mankind. And if you look at the size of this market, it should be like $1.3 trillion of revenue in 2011, and probably represents something like 2% of global GDP. But the thing that's really cool about wireless is how many people it touches. 5.7 billion people worldwide are using mobile technology. And if you look at just the emerging regions, it's 4 out of 5 people that are using mobile are using them in emerging regions. And that means that, you know, the growth is there, the opportunity to connect people is there, and a lot of opportunity for all of us to improve people's standard of living, quality of life. That's our opportunity and our responsibility by being part of this platform. And really, if you think about it, mobile has become, you know, a major, major force for change around the world. I mean, the mobile phone, by being so pervasive, will change pretty much every aspect of our lives. When you think about improving healthcare, we're going to talk about that later on, improving education, you know, enabling entrepreneurship. We've even seen in the Middle East and North Africa social revolutions inspired because people had the ability with their phones to communicate, to organize, take pictures of snipers on rooftops and post it to Facebook so that people knew where to go to be safe. Fundamentally changing the way that the world works. And that's incredible. And it's all about this movement from having to sit down at a desk to get online, to being able to take that with you everywhere you go. And so if we look, particularly in emerging markets, the penetration rates are phenomenal. 70% penetration rates in emerging markets of mobile cellular compared to 12% penetration rates on fixed telephony. So really, you know, this technology is being adopted broadly, and it has a fundamental impact on the world around us. Another place that it's having a tremendous impact is on computing. People say that the future of computing is mobile. I say the present of computing is mobile. When you look at this smartphone revolution, the intense demand that people have, and as Avnish said, I mean, we've seen already smartphone shipments passing the shipments of PCs. That happened in Q4 of 2010. And the installed base, so shipments already, the installed base, the number that are actually out there in the world of smartphones, that'll surpass PCs in 2012. And you know, if we just look at India, for example, I mean, it's already been a while, even though smartphones are really just starting to get off the ground in India, it's been since 2009 that more smartphones have been sold in India than laptops. So really, the phone is becoming a full-fledged computing environment. And we've talked already, Avnish mentioned the kinds of processing power that are going into these devices and graphics that are going into these devices. And it really gives the person an opportunity to take that phone and get the kind of experience that they've had on a desktop machine or on a device that had a big fan and a huge battery and weighed a lot and was hard to carry around with you, and now you can slip it in your pocket. It's a fundamentally incredible change. And why did that change happen? Because if you look at the PC, the one that you had to sit down in front of, I mean, it's almost a misnomer to call it a PC. It should have been the family computer or something, because groups of people use that device. And it did certain functions, but those functions were tied to the fact that you had to go to the place where that computer was. And now we look at mobility, and it's just so much more than that. It really is an ultra-personal device. And people expect, you know, that device, it's the center for entertainment and computing and productivity in addition to communication. And when we look at emerging markets, for most people, the first and only internet experience they'll ever have is going to be on a mobile device. And so another example of the opportunity that we have to change the world, to bridge the digital divide, to promote digital inclusion, to provide access to the internet and to computing. And it's happening already, because mobile data devices in India are already 5 times the number of PCs, and that's going to grow just extremely rapidly. And what are people expecting out of this? You know, they really expect to have an experience that is like what they had on a PC. But it's even more important than just that. We have to deliver it to them without being plugged into the wall. So they have a battery. That battery has to last at least during the day, all the time while they're using these devices, and they're connected to the network, and it's always on, and it's instant on. And how do we go about doing that? Well, we do it by integrating all of these capabilities together. So, you know, to give that promise of a great mobile experience takes a system approach, and it means things that are developed specifically for mobile. So we didn't take the CPU, the processor from a laptop, and try and shove it into a phone. We built a processor specifically for mobile. We built graphics capabilities specifically for mobile. We built modems and digital signal processors. We put GPS targeted for mobile, and then we wrapped it all together with system software to make sure that that experience is as compelling as we can make it, and we manage the battery life and make sure that that works extremely well. And at the heart of this mobile computing experience, obviously, is connectivity. And we've seen how traditional computing was transformed by taking a computer and turning it into a communications device. And it's almost like we're doing that all over again, but backwards. We're taking that communications device and creating a computing device out of it. And because we are doing this, because there were expectations set on what a computing device might be or what a gaming device might be, we have to deliver that same kind of experience to people. And then we have to connect it. And we have to connect it with enough data rate so that they get the experience. They get their entertainment coming down to the device. They get their computing and the connection to the cloud. And all of that stuff needs to work extremely well. And that's happening. I mean, people are adopting. I mean, it is already the case that since last year, mobile broadband already surpassed fixed broadband in terms of the number of subscriptions. So this is not a trend of the future. It's, as I said, computing is mobile already today. And so when we look at 3G, I mean, 3G continues to grow dramatically around the world. We're talking about 1.4 billion subscriptions on 3G. It's just a tremendously large market already, and we're expecting to see another 2 billion users by the end of 2015. And a lot of that's going to come out of the emerging market. I mean, 84% of the net additions in 3G over the next 5 years are going to come out of emerging markets. About a little over a third of those net additions are going to come out of the BRIC countries. So tremendous, tremendous adoption worldwide, particularly in emerging markets. And then, you know, if we look at India specifically, between 2010 and 2015, we're going to see huge growth, 233% growth. There's more than 13 million of 3G subscribers alone here, and we continue to see that increase, and we expect as the new devices come out and the services come up and the networks get optimized and the developers bring their application, all of this stuff is going to come together in a really excellent way and really be exciting for the consumer. And I just, here, because we have a number of our operator partners here, I just want to say thanks, congratulations. The launch of these networks has been tremendous. It was great for me to get here on the plane. I got off the plane, I turned on all my different devices, and I have CDMA devices, and I have HSPA devices. I'm covering the whole range. And they all worked. I got my data down. It was a great experience. Got connectivity. I could communicate back.